It's about 6 at night. 2 hours to complete darkness, 4 hours from home, and now a mysterious party. But let's go back to the start of the day, some 9 hours earlier, September 25th, the day after Equilux and the continuation of my ride. I'd camped among the trees at Police Outpost just below Chief Mountain, Ninistako, its presence still and immense. This sacred place where Blackfoot tradition speaks of the beginning of creation. I had hiked to its summit over 40 years ago, so perhaps my youth had not been misspent after all. Now I simply ride in its shadow. Today I was seeking trails less traveled, choosing gravel over pavement, solitude over speed. I was going to carve along that yellowed line through mostly untouched prairie, but I was resisted by a locked gate. I rode eastward below a lone windmill turning gently, the modern technology juxtaposed in this ancient sacred land. Then it was northward, on a long stretch of loose gravel dropped as a thick mass by passing trucks. My front tire crunching its way through awkwardly, twisting and turning, the bike alive beneath me, reminding me to stay in the moment. And then a break. Twin Butte. The breakfast timing felt perfect, as though it was part of the day's quiet rhythm. From there, west again, towards the mountains, towards memories of seismic lines and roaring helicopters decades ago. Township road meandered gently through the pot and kettle topography, and though not technical, every section of the road demanded my full attention. The kind of riding that doesn't shout at you, but whispers to you. No other rider to think about, any issue would be mine and mine alone. Now here we're carving between Beauvais Lake and Castle Mountain. And then we head into the Castle Wilderness. Each curve in the road revealing something new, yet strangely familiar as I wound my way into the Crow's Nest Pass. Just east of Fernie now, I turned north onto Hartley Lake Road. I had planned to camp, but the forecast was for rain. Waking to a wet and greasy road did not seem welcoming, so I pressed on, carried by instinct, not urgency. And while this wasn't completely remote, I felt quite isolated on this 200-kilometer desolate track. Riding alone is both a gift and a weight. Internally, a constant conversation with yourself. You can't pause or escape. On a motorcycle, you're fully immersed in the surroundings. You feel the cool from the streams, the pungent smell of Sulpher Creek, and the rocks kicked up from the tires. Every sense becomes part of the experience. It's just so different than being in a car or a truck. What amazed me was the path and landscape were constantly changing. From narrow to wide road segments, burnt forest, logged out areas, and fresh green rebirth. Wildfires had ravaged the area the last several years, and fire closures earlier in the summer were evidenced by the scarred trees. The riding was glorious. The road stretched into the distance, the sun low with a fierce glare creating long and deceptive shadows. I had come across a fallen tree that blocked the way. I stopped and cleared it, not just for myself, but for the nameless others who might pass this way later. Back on the bike, the light was growing dimmer. The ride was smoothing out, but home was still distant. And then the road narrowed again. Muddy sections appeared in earnest now. No choice but to press on. This mud hole, it dared me, and I took it head on. As I felt the front end sink away, I twisted the throttle with my heart starting to race. Not here, not now. This time, adrenaline and a touch of whiskey throttle worked. Not long after, my eyes missed a washout. I was sitting down, resting a bit, when the bash plate struck hard and the bike halted. Heavy, loaded, and now grounded. Another immediate lesson and the constant reminder that I was alone. A somber, reflective moment. And then a tree, small, alone, radiant in the setting sun, almost glowing. A quiet reassurance, as if to say, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And the ride continued, the landforms cycled again, repeated and transformed. By 7:30, I rejoined familiar ground, Settlers Road, and then on to Highway 93. I was greeted with a steady drizzle, so I paused and covered up. Stopped in Canmore and fueled the thirsty bike. The last stretch home along the 1A was dark, eerie, and quiet. Once again, alone. A 14-hour day, one rider, one machine, and infinite memories. A 10 out of 10 ride, not just because of the roads or the views, but because I was immersed in its entirety, proving once again a ride is always more than just a ride.